Canton Elementary's DataWise journey began in September of 2017. For the purpose of this journey, leaders of the school took initiative to track student growth in the area of mathematics. Step 1. Organizing for collaborative work involved setting the stage for instructional leaders to work and communicate with teachers on a weekly basis. Step 1 involved adopting an improvement process. Using the DataWise 8-step process, a system of teams was developed to ensure timely communication and expectations. Members of the administration team and teacher leaders helped to make up the data team. However, the data team needed the support of the instructional leadership team and the school's professional learning communities for focusing on a school-wide initiative. Teachers had weighed in on the time of day where they would prefer to have their data and PLC meetings. It was determined that PLC teams would meet every Wednesday and Thursday to allow instructional leaders and administration the opportunity to work with grade level teachers on a weekly basis. Teams worked with the understanding that everyone is to participate, share opinions based on the data, and assume positive intent. Teachers also participated in taking a personality assessment to determine communication styles and allow for more effective collaboration among team members. Lastly, for step 1, the data team reviewed the school's current assessments, their uses, and instructional initiatives within the building. Students at Canton Elementary are assessed on a variety of external and internal assessments. These assessments measure a variety of skills from reading, writing, and math to acquisition of language. Our instructional initiatives focus primarily on reading. Currently, there are 7 programs in place to support reading instruction and 3 programs in place for math instruction. When establishing a strong system of teams, it was beneficial to have a shared vision for collaborative practices. The schedule was designed to support PLCs and work with teams. Teachers benefited greatly with understanding each other's unique personalities, which improved communication among team members and the communication among the data team members. Setting expectations and norms benefited team members to focus on the positive contribution that each team member brings to the team. As the team continues to work through the data process, it would be beneficial to understand and focus on the why or the purpose of the process. Step 2. Build assessment literacy. For the process of Step 2, teachers reviewed how to read assessment reports where student performance is based on tiered levels to determine how much grade level content a student has mastered. The data team looked at a variety of ways that the end-of-year milestones results can be viewed through a cohort-to-cohort lens that could potentially identify trends. It was also an initiative of the county for all teachers to receive data training. The data team agreed that student performance should not be measured by a single assessment. However, the team decided that it is important for all teachers to have an understanding of assessment scores where student performance is ranked as a percentile, as well as the tiered levels for the end of grade assessment. Fortunately, the members of the data team have received many trainings and have years of experience of working with data. The data team members have adequate assessment literacy understanding. Step 3. The data team created a data overview to identify an area of focus for a school initiative. As a result of the Step 3 process, the data team determined that the focus area for this journey should be mathematics at the elementary level. While analyzing the data team provided teachers with graphed and posted milestones and iReady data within the school's data room for PLC teams to work on interpreting those scores. The displays were provided on the wall, posted in the form of pie graphs, and the iReady math scores were posted by placing student names on a large poster that indicated below level, on level, and above level student performance for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. When compared to the district and state scores, the data team identified that more students performed on levels 1 and 2 of the end of grade assessment in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, which indicated that a higher percentage of students not meeting grade level expectations was higher than that of the state and district average. When the data team displayed student performance on tiers 3 and 4, which indicates the percentage of students who meet and exceed grade level expectations, the 3rd grade was noted to have shown drastic improvement in the last year. 4th grade did not make any improvement the last school year, and 5th grade bounced back from the previous testing year. Overall, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teams observed that student performance is below that of the state and district. However, both grades, 3rd and 5th, increased in the percentage of students who met and exceeded grade level standards. When identifying the priority question, the question was, how do students use number sense when problem solving? What worked well during this step was data team review of the graphed milestones assessment results. This gave a clear picture of student performance at the end of the year. Also, with support provided by the academic facilitator, the grade level teams were able to discuss the importance of understanding how students solve math problems to guide and scaffold for student thinking and processing. Next time during this step, it should be recommended to begin the data review with a review of the meeting norms to promote positive interaction and no blame. The process for step 4 involves examining a wide range of student data. The data team reviewed overall assessment results with grade level PLC teams and looked at student performance under the different math domains. With support of the data team, grade level PLCs looked at the iReady fall benchmarks to review current levels of student performance. It is also important to have a shared understanding of what student data shows. Being that the first math units focus on number and operations, grade levels specifically looked at this domain. Student performance in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade was reviewed for each domain on the end of grade assessment. Under each domain, students were marked as needing remediation, needing to be monitored for progress, and as accelerate. Under each domain and each grade level, a higher percentage of students were marked as needing remediation. It was also noted that more students needed remediation in the 4th grade as opposed to the 5th. Some teachers and math standard experts stated that the increase of students needing remediation in 4th grade is due to the new standards that are presented within that grade level, and then mirrored in 5th grade, which could explain why less students were marked as needing remediation in the 5th grade. The data team also reviewed the percentage of students who currently show below grade level abilities on the iReady math benchmark. Although there was a high number of students needing remediation under each domain, the teachers weighed in on their personal observations of student learning in the classroom and identified that students struggle with basic number sense that provides the foundation for all the math domains. Looking at multiple pieces of evidence, teachers identified that the learner-centered problem is consistency with number sense. What worked well for this step was to have domain-based data and support from math experts. What could be changed next time would be to include some pre-test assessment data for the area of mathematics based on those classroom assessments. For step 5, the data team, along with grade level PLCs, worked to examine instruction to identify a problem of practice. For the process of step 5, the data team examined a wide range of instructional data. The team referenced the current instructional initiatives in the building that were identified in step 1 to obtain a clear picture on the purpose of observation. The team looked at how to support student growth in math. The school already provides multiple instructional programs such as Number Talks, Ready Math, iReady Math, Do the Math, Touch.Math, and a Math Number Lab. So when conducting these observations, the data team identified what consistency there is within the classrooms towards the use of the teacher-directed programs. The shared understanding of what's happening in the classroom was that inconsistencies were noted with the use of the technology-based instruction through the iReady program. Teachers did not consistently plan for students to have an opportunity to meet the minimum 45 minutes of usage that the program requires. So when identifying a problem of practice, the team looked into the fidelity of program usage. As part of the district initiative, teachers are required to maintain a 45-minute minimum for each student's instructional usage of the program each week. Teachers are willing to meet the district initiative, but struggle with planning lessons that support sufficient student usage on the computer program. Additionally, teachers face other roadblocks such as access to technology. When identifying the problem of practice, the data team determined that as teachers, we do not implement instructional programs with fidelity to improve student pass rates in mathematics. What worked well for step 5 was having multiple points of data on program implementation, and that ranged from teacher statements, classroom observations, and the instructional usage report on the program. Data team members set frequent classrooms, and teacher observations that noted student usage of programs. What could be changed for next time would be for the data team to could also observe the methods for using the iReady instructional tool in the classroom. And that could look at how often students are getting on the program and how long they are getting on the program for an extended period of time. For step 6, the data team developed an action plan to identify the expectations for teachers, students, and the classroom, as well as tasks to complete for implementing the plan. The determined instructional strategy that will solve students' weakness with the number sense was the fidelity of implementing the adopted technology-based math instruction. In the classroom, students can either participate on the technology instruction through center rotations or whole class visits to the computer lab. Reviewing the program and the research, the data team determined that students' academic pass rates should increase as student usage increases. There was some discussion regarding having students spend extended periods of time on the computer versus small segments of opportunity daily. Teachers expressed the challenge with providing computer time for all students every single day. Therefore, some grade levels looked at utilizing the computer lab at least one time per week. Under the implementation indicators, it was determined that teachers should teach students the computer-based skills, support students with independent computer skills, lead students on setting individual goals, and provide students with opportunities for access to technology and independent practice. Students should know their current performance in math on the iReady program, understand personal strengths and weaknesses and set goals, turn direct teacher support and direction into student-led habits of practice. Within the classroom, there should be a setup for student rotations on the computers or the iPads and a display of the I can statements. For student work, student performance on the program, the pass rate will increase with student usage. Looking at the action plan, the learner-centered problem was identified as student consistency with number sense skills. The problem of practice: as teachers, we do not implement instructional programs with fidelity to improve student pass rate in the area of mathematics. And then the strategy: students practice online math instruction for a minimum of 45 minutes per week. The first task involved professional development for all teachers on using the iReady program, then analyze the fall benchmark data, ongoing supports provided for teachers with using the online program, organize instruction to allow for student practice on the computer, data team reviews weekly, reports with grade level PLC teams and discuss barriers to implementation. The academic facilitator and administration observes classrooms and provides feedback, and teachers continue to utilize the technology-based instruction. What worked well for step 6 was that teachers were provided with weekly supports, teachers were provided with technology help, reflections from classroom observations, and data from student pass rates, a collaborative approach that encouraged teachers to speak openly about their current practices, having the teachers generate their own solutions for meeting the objective, promoted teacher buy-in with the district initiative, and all teachers agreed with the importance to provide students with more opportunities for practice and feedback. Step 7, developing a plan to assess progress. The data team came up with an assessment plan that allowed them to look at the instructional usage of the technology-based math program and student performance. For the process of step 7, the data team had to choose an assessment to measure progress. To monitor the fidelity and effectiveness of the iReady program, the teachers used the instructional usage report for their class to monitor student usage time on the program. The administration, academic facilitator, and instructional lead specialists monitored the fidelity of implementation for the entire school. The criteria for progress was to see an increase in student pass rate with an increase of program usage. For setting student learning goals, the short-term data, the student program usage, was monitored by the teachers within the classroom. Teachers worked with students on setting personal learning goals and setting growth statements. The medium-term data included the fall student benchmark and will include the winter and spring benchmarks as well. This medium-term data is reviewed by all teachers within PLC teams and the data team with the goal to see student growth in the data. The data team determined current student performance and set goals for growth. Lastly, the long-term data will be the end-of-year assessment. The data team reviewed last year's summative assessment and will do the same in May. The team will specifically look for how much growth students have made from receiving instruction through the iReady and Ready blended program. For assessing student progress, the short-term data source will be the student's personal learning goals from the iReady performance indicators. Students can review their performance on a weekly basis, and then their goal is to meet their individual growth goals. The midterm data source are the benchmark assessments that are taken in the fall, winter, and spring. For these assessments, the student objective or goal is to receive a percentile that is above the 25th. For the long-term data source, the milestones end of grade assessment is administered in April, and the students are expected to meet or exceed the grade level standards. What worked well for step 7 was using accessible student performance data through the technology-based program, as well as involving students in setting their learning goals. Step 8, The last step of the data-wise process is on act and assess, which could possibly lead to assessment and adjustment to go through the process again. Within the classrooms, teachers primarily provided students with opportunities for access to the technology-based instruction through station rotations. Although individual student practice differed depending on student strengths and weaknesses, all students practiced skills based on the current math unit. The weekly usage report was generated by administration and reviewed by the data team, and then shared with grade level PLC teams. During PLC meetings, teachers discussed the implementation of the iReady program and discussed ways to improve student usage. Reviewing the weekly data, the data team noticed that the percent of usage increased each week except for week 4. The academic facilitator explained that during week 4, students were also taking their growth monitoring assessment on the program, which does not count towards student instructional usage time. Reviewing the usage report, it was also noted that student pass rates stayed between 60% and 70%, and pass rates did not always increase with an increase in instructional usage. Comparing the baseline to week 5, the student average time on task increased 13 minutes. However, the pass rate did not increase. What worked well for step 8 was reviewing the data collaboratively and identifying barriers to the limited increase in pass rate. What could be changed the next time would be to remind team members of the norms for collaborative practices prior to looking at the assessment data. The most pressing question for the data team at the end of step 8 is why the school average of instructional usage continued to remain below 50% despite the program being a district initiative supported by instructional leaders within the building. Moving forward, it was recommended to conduct a trial with a smaller group of students to determine how the program times instructional usage, for example, when students are working with paper and pencil.